The demon wizard and thief, Ganon and Ganondorf, the main antagonists throughout most of the Legend of Zelda series. Are they one and the same, or are there differences between the two? Well, that's what we're here for, to discuss the differences between Ganon and Ganondorf. Now, in order to get a better understanding of who Ganon and Ganondorf are, we first need to go back to the beginning. And the first Zelda game in the Zelda timeline is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. You see, in Skyward Sword we got to see Demise, the Demon King. The Demon King Demise is a recurring evil throughout the generations that needed to be dealt with even within the ancient times of Hyrule. But at the end of Skyward Sword, when Link defeats Demise, in his dying breath he curses both Link and Zelda to deal with a reincarnation of his own hatred throughout the generations. And it is for this reason that we see a reincarnation of the hatred of Demise in every different generation of Zelda. So because of this, you could argue that Vaati, Zant, Calamity Ganon, Ganon, and Ganondorf are all different incarnations of the hatred of Demise. So in other words, Ganon and Ganondorf are the reincarnation of Demise. But we don't see Ganon or Ganondorf until the events of Ocarina of Time. You see, in Ocarina of Time, we meet Ganondorf for the very first time. He was the king of thieves from the Gerudo. There is only one male Gerudo born every 100 years, and that was Ganondorf in the events of Ocarina of Time. He was jealous of the lands of Hyrule, which were so much greater and much more prosperous than the dry desert lands of the Gerudo. So once Link acquired the 3 spiritual stones and used it to open up the Temple of Time and acquire the Master Sword, this is when Ganondorf entered the Sacred Realm to acquire the Triforce. But it was in this moment that the Triforce was split and Ganondorf was only left with the Triforce of Power. And this is really important because in the final fight at the end of Ocarina of Time, once Link had already beaten Ganondorf and the tower was destroyed, Ganondorf arose one more time for one more final fight. And this is when Ganondorf transformed into Ganon for the very first time. He used the Triforce of Power to become Ganon, and this is when we see Ganon for the very first time, at the end of Ocarina of Time. So this is where things may get a bit more complicated because it is in this moment that the timeline for the Zelda series is split into 3. You see, during the final fight with Ganon, once Ganondorf had transformed, there is one timeline where Link supposedly lost to Ganon, and it is in the Fallen Hero timeline where we mostly just see Ganon reincarnated throughout the different games. It seems that in the Fallen Hero timeline, the timeline where Link lost to Ganon in the final fight of Ocarina of Time, that Ganon became the main personality for Ganondorf. But in the other 2 timeline possibilities, the one where Link defeated Ganon, the child timeline and the adult timeline, Ganondorf survives even after being sealed into the Sacred Realm. We see him eventually in the Wind Waker, the adult timeline, and we also see him in Twilight Princess, the child timeline. In Twilight Princess, Ganondorf still has the power to become Ganon. He still uses the Triforce of Power to become this evil beast, but it seems to only just be a transformation for Ganondorf rather than his main personality. Now, at the very end of all the Zelda timelines, we have Breath of the Wild. It hasn't been specified exactly where it falls in, but we know it's very late into the timeline for the Legend of Zelda series. And it is in this one that we see the Calamity Ganon. This Calamity Ganon is void of any personality. It seems to simply be another reincarnation of the hatred of Demise. But basically it seems that Ganon has become the primary name for that reincarnating spirit of hatred that was originally Demise, the original Demon King. And Ganondorf was a man that was born in the age of Ocarina of Time that survived for far longer thanks to the Triforce of Power in the events of both the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. We do see Ganondorf reincarnated one time in Four Swords Adventures, but this is a reincarnation where Ganondorf was the name of this reincarnation. And Ganon, the main initial Ganon, was simply a transformation that came from the Triforce of Power that Ganondorf had acquired. And these are the differences between Ganon and Ganondorf. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening and watching, everyone. This is Andres Restart. If you love Nintendo content, please make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.